Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Saturday, January the 9th. We're going to cover Saturday's 7-game main slate, break down the slate position by position. I'm going to go rather quickly because I am recording this video pretty late. I need to take my ass to bed, so I want to get this video done in just a quick amount of time. Just going to go through each position, skim through, kind of talk about what I like on Friday night, looking at this slate the night before, what really stands out to me. So before we get started with the video, as always guys, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button down below. If you are new to the channel as well, be sure to click that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll also get notified every time I do go live. I have been live streaming recently. Not 100% sure if I'm going to go live for a Saturday slate, but if I do, it will be sometime in the afternoon, so just be on the lookout for that. I do live stream from time to time, so yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Saturday's slate. We'll start off at point guard. So at the top here, you got Luka for 11K. You got Russell Westbrook for 10K. I want to go ahead and say that Russell Westbrook, I don't expect to play today. This is a back-to-back for the Wizards. You know, Westbrook hasn't played on back-to-backs this year. He played on Friday night, so I am assuming that Westbrook will be out for tonight. So Luka's our top-tier guy here, 11K at home against Orlando. You know, obviously, I wouldn't say this is the greatest spot. Orlando, pretty solid defensive team. They play at a pretty slow pace, but Doncic has just been so good this season, especially as of late. He's looked like his old self, 58, 71, 79 DK points. Luka kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start to begin the year, but lately he's really turned things on. Looked like the guy that we thought he was. So I think at 11K on this slate, Luka definitely stands out as one of the better pay-up options. Right now it's close between him and Giannis. Giannis also in a good spot against Cleveland. Obviously, there's some blowout concern there, but I do like Giannis as well. We're going to talk about Bradley Beal. He looks really good. It's 9,700 now that Westbrook is not going to play most likely. So it's hard to rank kind of these top tier guys like Luka, Giannis, even Beal. Obviously, Towns is back. Like Karl-Anthony Towns could maybe play today. You have him at 9,600. You got Lillard, who finally had a big game. You got Trae Young. So there's plenty of studs to pay up for. Luka would be towards the top of my list, though, and if a lot of value opens up, I definitely think, I'm going to be trying to fit in, as much Luka as I can. But like Dame, Trae Young, CJ McCollum, I don't think any of these guys stand out as, core plays for me. Dame does look pretty good at 9,500. He finally had a big game. We finally saw Dame go off, 67 DK points in only 29 minutes. He shot the ball really well. Just looked like his old self, a guy that just is going to walk to the 3-point line, just chuck threes. That's what he was doing in that Minnesota game. He was knocking them down. He was able to chip in with 7 rebounds, 7 assists as well. Like that's the kind of upside that Damian Lillard has in a good matchup like this against the Kings. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get another big game from Damian Lillard, and maybe that's all he needed. Maybe all he needed was to finally see a shot fall and finally have that big game, so now he can kind of turn things on. I do like Dame at 9,500. I think I would prefer him over Trae Young. Trae Young gets to face the same Hornets team that he just absolutely, completely got crapped on by. The Hornets they played great defense against Trae Young. I'm not sure, what they did. I didn't watch much of that game, but he had by far like the worst game of his career. 35 minutes, only 16 fantasy points. He shot 2 for 9 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. Whatever the Hornets did to, stop Trae Young, I'm sure they're going to do that again here. At 9,400, Trae Young is still a guy that has a lot of upside, but I think with him struggling so much last time out against the Hornets, I guess that's a little bit worrisome. Probably would give the edge to Damian Lillard, who is coming off a really good game and seems to be playing a little bit better right now. But then going down to these guys in the 8K range, I do like D'Angelo Russell. Just continues to be a guy that gets a lot of usage. Obviously, this is going to depend on the status of Karl-Anthony Towns. I think if Karl-Anthony Towns plays, I'm probably going to be off Russell at his price point, but if Towns does remain out, I think Russell at 8,100 is for sure a guy you can look to. Just with Towns off the floor, he's been getting the usage recently. The minutes are there as well. As long as the game stays close, you're going to get big minutes from D'Angelo Russell. I want Towns to be out, so we'll have to wait and see there. But if he is, I do like D'Angelo Russell at 8,100. Forgot to mention Malcolm Brogdon as well. He looks pretty good at 8,400. Just been playing so well recently. 54 DK points in 3 straight games. Getting monster minutes, going to play probably 38 to 40 minutes as long as this game stays close, which it should against the Suns. We know, where the production's coming from in this Pacers offense. It's coming from 3 guys, Brogdon, Oladipo, and Sabonis. So I like Brogdon as well at 8,400. I would say at the top of the point guard position, I would say 8K and above. Luka and Lillard would probably be my top tier, top two guys up top, in that upper tier. Then I do like Brogdon the most out of all the 8K guys. And if Cat's out, you could consider Russell as well. Jimmy Butler, though, I think Jimmy Butler's one guy that really stands out. He's only 7,400. Great matchup here against the Wizards. Butler is definitely underpriced for this matchup. Since he came back from injury, he kind of got off to a little bit of a rough start, but he finally looked good last game out against Boston. 33 minutes, 46 DK points, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. Just a really good game all around from Jimmy Butler. Now he gets an excellent matchup against a fast-paced Wizards team that doesn't really play much defense. I think Jimmy Butler really stands out on the slate. Point guard and small forward eligibility, which makes him very appealing. I would be more likely to play him as small forward, just given small forward is normally not as deep of a position at point guard. So I like Jimmy Butler a lot as a point guard or small forward on DK. And on Yahoo, he looks really good over there as well. He's small forward. He's $31 coming in, cheaper than Middleton, cheaper than Gordon Hayward. Definitely give me Jimmy Butler all day at $31 on Yahoo. I do like him quite a bit on this slate. He does stand out, just at first look. Colin Sexton is questionable, so that is one of the injuries we'll have to watch heading into Saturday night. I think there's a lot of guys questionable for Cleveland, so that's going to be a team we do have to pay attention to. Other point guards, really good spot for LaMelo Ball, 6,700. He had a pretty solid game Friday night against the Pelicans. Only 26 minutes, but did have 40 fantasy points and nearly triple-doubled. He was 1 assist shy of a triple-double. That's the kind of upside that LaMelo Ball has. This is going to be someone that puts up close to triple-doubles on a nightly basis. If not, at some point he's going to finally have a triple-double. The minutes should be there. He should get probably 28, close to 30 minutes off the bench. Good matchup against the Hawks. I do like LaMelo Ball. Even with the price coming up, I think he is for sure still in play, even at 6,700. Terry Rozier as well on the other side of that game, 6,200. I think he looks like a pretty good option that you can go to. Halliburton, fine as well. His price is starting to come up. He still had a really solid game on Friday night, even with De'Aaron Fox playing. I think he finished with 35 fantasy points. Halliburton's just been playing so well off the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he winds up moving into the starting lineup just because of how well he's been playing. He should continue to get the minutes off the bench. 5,800 is a pretty hefty price tag to pay, but the guy has been playing so well recently. I still think he is viable on this 7-game slate. I do like him in the 5K range. But I think Devontae Graham is probably my favorite guy overall in that price range. 5,600. Price is too low in my opinion for someone that has now finally started to get things going. Last 2 games for Devontae Graham, 38 and 37 Draftkings points. Minutes have been there as well, 39 and 37 minutes. He still hasn't really had a great game shooting-wise, but he's been contributing with the peripherals. 6 rebounds, 8 assists last game. The game before that, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Had 4 steals in that game. Devontae Graham is someone that can, kind of contribute in all categories. He's a guy that when he gets hot, you can get 40, 50-point games from Devontae Graham. His shot has just, really killed him this year, but he's been playing much better recently. The minutes have been there. 5,600 is too low of a price tag for Devontae Graham if we're going to get 36, 38 minutes from him. He did just have a lot of success in the same matchup a couple days ago against the Hawks. I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see another, 35, 40-point game from Devontae Graham. So I like him a lot at 5,600. He is definitely underpriced on both sites. He's only $19 on Yahoo. Yeah, $19 on Yahoo. Looks really good over there as well. I think, we definitely want to be getting on Devontae Graham right now before his price starts rising, because if he continues to play well like he is, he's going to be, 6K, 6,500, close to 7K at some point. We're not going to have him at 5,600 for much longer. So I do like Devontae Graham a lot. Cole Anthony I think is fine, but they said he was on sort of a minutes limit. He still played 28 minutes Friday night. That was a blowout, but I believe he did get run even in the blowout in the fourth quarter. Obviously, on a back-to-back, there are some concerns here. I feel a lot better about Devontae Graham. I would much rather play Devontae Graham over Cole Anthony, but the Magic are just so depleted right now that Anthony's probably going to have to play around 30 minutes. No Markelle Fultz, potentially no MCW. I think Evan Fournier is going to play, but still MCW and Fultz most likely will be out. We know Fultz is out for the season. Anthony is viable, but I do feel a lot better about Devontae Graham. But the last guy I want to talk about at point guard as a cheaper play, so with Russell Westbrook most likely going to be out on the second half of the back-to-back, I am assuming that either Raul Neto or Ish Smith gets the start at point guard. Now, lately, Ish Smith has been actually getting way more minutes than Neto, and he's been playing way better off the bench. So there is a possibility that Ish Smith starts for Westbrook, But lately, when Westbrook's been out, they've been starting Neto. So I'm going to assume that Neto starts for Westbrook. 4,100 on DK, really cheap. Also coming in very cheap on Yahoo. He looks like a really good value. Assuming that Westbrook does not play, which seems very likely. He hasn't played on back-to-backs this year. It doesn't seem like he's going to play on back-to-backs basically at all this season. So I am assuming Westbrook's out. And we've seen this season when Westbrook has missed games, Neto usually starts and he'll get around 25 to 30 minutes. He only played 22 minutes in the Minnesota game, but I think a lot of that had to do with blowout. We saw him have a really big game earlier this year when Westbrook was out. Like, the opportunity is going to be there. The minutes should be there. He's a guy that can be somewhat productive when he does get minutes. 4,100 is too low of a price tag for Neto if he's going to be starting, and playing around 25, 30 minutes. Just keep an eye on the Wizards starting lineup because I wouldn't be surprised if they do start Ish Smith, and in that case, I would prefer Ish Smith over Neto. So this just kind of all depends on their starting lineup. But for now, I am going to assume that Neto gets the start for Westbrook. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now. So at shooting guard at the top here, Bradley Beal, my top option today. With Westbrook most likely not going to play, Bradley Beal just going to get monster usage. Looks like one of the clear top plays on the slate. 9,700 on DK, $43 on Yahoo. Still way too cheap on Yahoo, and even on DK at close to $10,000. I still think Bradley Beal is a great option, even at 9,700. Just with no Westbrook, the ball's just going to be in his hands a ton. The usage is going to be absolutely insane. He's going to have to take 25, 30 shots. The matchup against Miami is not the best overall, but with how much usage, with how much opportunity Bradley Beal's going to get, I don't really care what the matchup is. He's going to have to shoot. He's going to have to chuck. My main concern, I guess, would be that maybe this game blows out, but I think Washington, especially at home, can at least keep this game close to where Bradley Beal plays his full, 36, 38 minutes, especially with no Westbrook. At 9,700, he looks like one of the better pay-up options on this slate. So really, really like Bradley Beal at shooting guard. Other guys at this position that I haven't talked about, I think Victor Oladipo at 7K looks like a fine option. I think you can definitely go to him. Him and Brogdon I do have interest in today. With Evan Fournier expected to play, I think Fournier is expected to play. I'm not 100% on that. He was ruled out for Friday, but I believe they said he was going to play Saturday, or maybe he's questionable for Saturday. At 6,400, I probably would only play Terrence Ross if Fournier's out. So that'll just be something to monitor. I do like Terry Rozier, though, in that mid-range, 6,200. Good matchup against the Hawks. He's been getting solid minutes lately, been playing well. Had a very solid game Friday night against the Pelicans, 37 DK points in 35 minutes. Good matchup once again against Atlanta. So I do like Terry Rozier. But really, I think that's it for shooting guard. I don't think there's a ton of plays that stand out below 5K. We could have some value from Cleveland depending on if Colin Sexton's out. If Sexton's out again, I think Dotson, 4,300 could be viable. Played 35 minutes last game with Sexton out, 26 DK points. At 4,300, he would be someone worth considering as a value play if Sexton is out. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to small forward now. So at the small forward position, you got Gordon Hayward at the top, 8,200. On this slate, I don't know if Gordon Hayward's going to be a guy that I look to pay up for. I think I'd rather get to Bradley Beal if I can, find the extra salary. There's even some other guys in the 8K range, like Brogdon, who we talked about. If Cat's out, you got Russell at 8,100. For in the 7K range, you got John Collins, who we'll talk about later. I've been a big fan of Gordon Hayward this year. I've played him a lot, but I don't know if I'm going to be spending over 8K for him on this slate unless just a lot of value opens up. For now, Hayward will just be more of a tournament play. Probably not a guy that I would get to in my main, just one single entry lineup. I don't think I really get to Gordon Hayward. But Oladipo, we talked about, I have interest in at 7K. Other small forwards, Cedi Osman, he had a really good game last game. Got a ton of opportunity, played 38 minutes, had 35 DK points. Especially if Sexton is out again, Cedi Osman just going to have to do way more offensively. Took 19 shots last game. I think you would have to see him probably take close to 20 shots again. They're just going to need some guys to score, and Osman can do that. So at 6,200, I don't mind paying this price tag for Osman, especially if Sexton is out again. So do have interest in him at small forward. DeAndre Hunter, he's been playing really well recently. The price is starting to come up, but still, he's getting pretty big minutes. He's been very productive. He's been very consistent. You're getting over 30 fantasy points a night from DeAndre Hunter right now. At 5,900 against the Hornets, good matchup. I do like him at small forward. He stands out as a viable option. But if we're talking about value plays here under 5K, Dallas does have some guys injured, so we'll talk about them real quick. So let's go ahead and move to Dallas. So Josh Richardson has been ruled out. Dorian Finney-Smith has been ruled out. Tim Hardaway Jr. is at 5,900. I think at this price point, I'm probably not going to have a ton of Tim Hardaway Jr. at 5,900. I just think that might be a little bit too expensive of a price tag for me. But we'll have to wait and see who starts for Josh Richardson in DFS. Wes Iwundu doesn't have a ton of fantasy upside, so I don't really know if I want to play him. I mean, he's barely played this year. I wouldn't really see him playing many minutes. But, if they decide to start James Johnson, who we'll talk about, 3,200, if James Johnson is in the starting lineup, he would be a great value play. We will need to keep an eye on that. No Dorian Finney-Smith, no Josh Richardson. Those are two starters that are going to be out for Dallas today, or at least I think DFS has not. I think DFS has been coming off the bench, but maybe Kleber starts, maybe Johnson starts. Both those guys could be valuable. Obviously, they're power forward. We'll talk about them when we get there. But other small forwards that we could look to, like I said, under 5K, really not a ton of value that stands out here. Like Isaac Okoro, he's starting, and he played big minutes last game, but he still only had 19 fantasy points. Just not a guy that has much upside, even though, he may get big minutes. Dwayne Bacon, been starting recently, 28 minutes last game, but still just 12 fantasy points. Another guy that, even if he plays big minutes, doesn't give you a ton of upside. Really, I don't see a ton of small forward value that catches my eye. So let's go ahead and move on to the power forward position. So at power forward, at the top here, you got Giannis, 10,800. Once again, clearly one of the top studs on the slate. Giannis is always someone you can pay up for. I guess it is worth noting this is that this is a back-to-back for the Bucks, and I'm not sure yet I don't think Giannis has played, or I don't think the Bucks. Okay, he did play so last time they did have a back-to-back, Giannis did play, but he only played 24 minutes that game. He played 33 minutes on Friday night. I am assuming that Giannis plays, but that will be something worth monitoring since this is a back-to-back. Assuming he does play against the Cavs, great matchup. Nobody on Cleveland's going to slow him down. I do worry about some blowout here, but Giannis is still one of the top studs on the slate. He's right up there with Luka as top-tier pay-up options. But right now, I think given the savings, I'd rather play Bradley Beal over Giannis and over Luka, given that he's over $1,000 cheaper. But Sabonis at 9,100, don't really ever have a problem with Sabonis. I just don't know if this is a slate where I'm really going to be going out of my way to play him. John Collins, I do like quite a bit at 7,500. I've been playing John Collins a lot this year. He did have a really good game against Charlotte when they played a couple of days ago. 40 fantasy points in 32 minutes. We know we're going to get 32, 34 minutes from Collins on a nightly basis. This is a guy that can easily put up 40-plus fantasy points a night. So at 7,500, I do like him quite a bit in the mid-range. Other power forwards, Jetty Osman we talked about, DeAndre Hunter you could look to. PJ Washington, I don't mind either. Good matchup for him against the Hawks. I'd rather play Hunter, but Washington is definitely in play at 5,900. Kelly Olynyk was a really good value last slate, and he didn't do very well. Only played 21 minutes, only had 18 fantasy points. His price is now up to 5,300. It's a great matchup against the Wizards, but I don't think I'm going to be paying 5,300 for Olynyk on this slate. I doubt I really go to him much. Value-wise, though, I think these Dallas guys could definitely be in play for value. So whoever starts for Josh Richardson and for Finney-Smith, we'll have to wait and see what the Dallas starting lineup is. But if James Johnson starts, he's only 3,200. He would be a really good value play. James Johnson is a guy that can be productive on a point-per-minute basis. When he does get playing time, he can average close to a fantasy point per minute. At 3,200, if he winds up starting, I'm going to like him a lot as a power forward option, as a cheaper play. Jared Vanderbilt, I liked a lot on the last slate, and he did come through. He still only played 21 minutes. He was really productive, though, with 29 DK points. I think at some point we're going to see Vanderbilt, kind of pass up Ed Davis and pass up Naz Reid on the totem pole. Obviously, with Karl-Anthony Towns, coming back soon, if Towns returns, I really have no interest in Vanderbilt. But if Towns remains out, I think Vanderbilt is still viable because he's been their best, kind of big man so far when it comes to guys not named Karl-Anthony Towns. Naz Reid hasn't really done much. Ed Davis hasn't been productive. It's been Vanderbilt, getting the minutes and being productive with those minutes. So if Karl-Anthony Towns remains out, I think Vanderbilt is still viable at 4,200. This guy doesn't need a ton of minutes to pay off his price. He's such a productive player. When he does get minutes, I would still have interest in him at 4,200. But all that is dependent on the status of Karl-Anthony Towns. So we'll have to monitor that. But yeah, I think that's really it for power forward. Bertans, I had some interest in on Friday night. He didn't have the best game overall, 23 fantasy points in 27 minutes, but potentially with no Westbrook today, that's going to be more usage to go around, more opportunity for a guy like Bertans. He would become a good option at 4,800, assuming that Westbrook does not play today, which seems very likely. Don't mind him as a cheaper power forward as well. But let's go ahead and move on to center. We'll cover the center position real quick before we do end the video. So at the top of the center position, you got Karl-Anthony Towns, 9,600, who does have a chance to return, listed as questionable. Obviously, we don't know his status yet. He's only played in 2 games this year, but he's been really good in those 2 games. You know, there's a chance, I don't know with the wrist injury if he would be limited, but I guess there is a chance that he does get limited in his first game back from injury. But Towns, when he's healthy, man, he's going to be a fantasy monster, going to be a guy that puts up 45, 50 fantasy points on a nightly basis. I don't think this is going to be a slate where I'm going to be jamming in Karl-Anthony Towns, but, you know, obviously with him coming back, potentially that is going to impact some other guys who we talked about, you know, earlier in the video. But like Vooch, I like a lot at 8,800. You know, Aaron Gordon is expected back for this game, but still no Markelle Fultz, potentially no Evan Fournier. Vooch is just going to have to do a lot offensively. The offense is going to run through Vooch. He was, you know, he wasn't great, or I wouldn't say he wasn't great, but the Magic as a whole, the team, you know, they were terrible Friday night against Houston. They got absolutely blown out. Vooch only played 30 minutes, but he was still productive in his 30 minutes with 46 DraftKings points. I think today in a game that should be close against Dallas, we should probably get 32, 34 minutes from Vooch. The offense is going to run through him. At 8,800, I think he looks like a really good pay-up option at center. I think if I'm paying up at this position, right now I prefer him over Sabonis for a little bit cheaper. I think I'd prefer him over Drummond as well. I do like Vooch quite a bit at 8,800. You know, John Collins we talked about I like as well. Clint Capella, great matchup against Charlotte. These teams just played a couple days ago. He didn't have that great of a game overall, but you know, in a matchup like this, there is easy, you know, 40-point upside for Capella, 40-plus point upside. He can put up a big double-double, can block some shots. You know, this Hornets team has always struggled to defend bigs. The upside is definitely there for Clint Capella. I think if I can find the salary, though, I would probably rather play John Collins, but I don't mind Capella at 7K. But Nurkic, a guy I want to talk about. So Nurkic is also someone I've been playing a lot recently, and I do like him once again on this slate. 6,500 on DK. Still remains a little bit too cheap. On Yahoo, he's $25, and I think he is also too cheap over there as well. So Nurkic been getting the minutes recently. I know he only played 23 last game, but that was due to blowout. He did not play at all in the fourth quarter. He was on pace to play his normal, you know, 28, 30 minutes. Last game had it stay close. I think we probably get 28 to 30 minutes from Nurkic today if this game against the Kings stays close, which it should. Good matchup against a pretty bad defensive Kings team. This should be a fast-paced game. Should be one of the more higher-scoring games on the slate. Nurkic is a guy that, you know, when he's getting 28, 30 minutes a night, he has 35, 40-point upside easily and can break a slate and put up 50-plus DraftKings points. We haven't seen a big Nurkic game yet, but it's coming at some point. I want to keep rostering him, especially while he remains affordable. While he's only, you know, 6,500, while he's still priced in the 6K range, I'm going to be playing a ton of Nurkic on a nightly basis, and I do like him once again on Saturday's slate. So love Nurkic in that 6K range. Definitely stands out. You know, it's kind of one of my favorite center plays overall on the slate. But like Miles Turner, I don't mind either. Rashawn Holmes is a fine option, but really Nurkic is the guy that I like most in that mid-range. But in terms of value plays, I don't really think there's a ton of standout value. Willie Cauley-Stein is viable at 4K. He has been starting recently. He played 26 minutes last game, and he was in foul trouble still. Like, if he's not in foul trouble, I think, you know, as long as Willie Cauley-Stein continues to start, we're probably going to get 26, close to 28 minutes from him. He's a cheap option. He's a guy that can be productive when he gets minutes. He can average a fantasy point per minute. You know, if we're getting 26, 28 minutes from Cauley-Stein, we can easily get 28, 30 fantasy points from him. So at 4K, I guess if I am going cheap at center, Willie Cauley-Stein, assuming he continues to start, is the guy that I like most as a cheap center option. But yeah, I think that's really it for center, guys. I think we covered everything here. So I hope you did enjoy the video, guys. Appreciate you watching. Pretty fun Saturday slate we got ahead of us, 7 games. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure if I'm going to go live for Saturday for this Saturday slate, but if I do, it will be sometime in the afternoon around 3 or 4 Eastern time. So just, you know, kind of be on the lookout for a stream around then. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck tonight, guys. I appreciate you watching. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hope you win some money tonight, and best of luck, guys. Appreciate you watching. Peace.